Oh, hello, and welcome to Dente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
And I'm Dr. Leviathan.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories most creepy and most pasta. Tonight we've got A Little Piece of Heaven. For those of you joining us for the first time, CreepyPasta is in essence the next wave of scary campfire stories, but on the internet. The name comes from short stories that have been copied and pasted across the internet for the last decade or more. The name is shortened to the slang copypasta, and the scary stories got called creepypasta. So, A Little Piece of Heaven. This one we randomly chose off of the creepypasta.wiki site. Check it out if you want. Before you listen to the show, we'll wait. And I've tried. I did go online on YouTube and look at it, see if I could find anything. Nothing. Aside from something, but...
Well, they can't do one for everything.
Yeah. So I had to read through it the old-fashioned way, which I did. It was fine. The story takes place starts off with this guy talking about how he's met the love of his life, and he's spent a bunch of money to set up a nice dinner for them, and then he bought a ring. Spent 4 hours in the jewelry store looking for the right one. Does all this prep work, waits for his girl to come home. They have dinner, and then he kneels down and proposes. And, we're starting off right, this is all right at the beginning. And she just starts laughing at him. It's the funniest joke ever. And he's completely heartbroken, just something inside of him just snaps. And he drops the ring, grabs a knife, and just starts stabbing her. And essentially just, goes out and just, within the first couple of paragraphs, just outright murders his girlfriend. And pulls out her heart. And then proceeds to stitch her back up, put the heart into the fridge, and then go into the bedroom with her. And apparently has his way with her for a good long while. It's nothing that was really actually mentioned or anything like that, thankfully.
It wasn't a lot of detail. You know what happened, but there's no explicit...
It's insinuated, that's about it.
Yeah.
It was tastefully insinuated, that's about it. As tasteful as you can do for that.
I wouldn't use the term tasteful.
No.
At all.
I apologize. I revoked that. And the story goes on where he comes home one day and she's not in bed where he left her, and then he hears a crash in the kitchen and runs down to the kitchen and finds her body animated, scrounging through the fridge, and I think devouring her own heart. I think that was it. Yeah. And then looking at him just with an evil smile and. Grabs a knife, and then he goes to run to the door, can't get out, turns around to find another exit, and gets stabbed. Oh, no, she doesn't have a knife. It's just, she just digs her own hand into his chest, through his ribs, and...
I think she rips out his heart.
Yeah, rips out his heart, and proceeds to start eating it in front of him. And then he dies. This is the narrator, by the way. And he dies, and... gets pulled down into a hellish landscape where she's there too, and he pleads for his eternal soul and such, and he'll do anything for her, and she's like, all right, well, and then he grabs her, or she grabs him, and suddenly they're back up in the real world, and I believe they are he thinks it's a dream at first, and then realizes that he's a corpse. And realize that she's a corpse, and that they're going to be a married corpse. And they end up going to a church, and while a wedding is going on, they slaughter everyone, including the bride and groom, by decapitation. except for the priest, who they have marry them. And then they just walk off into the sunset. And that is literally the story. There's more to it if you read it, but that's essentially the gist of it. Now, like I said, we did this story based off of just a random pasta button on the creepypasta.wiki site. So we guys like, oh, this one looks good. Let's just read this one. And then I read through it, and then I looked down at the comments like, oh, A7X, great, like you got all the major lines. I was like, what? So apparently, A Little Piece of Heaven, the creepypasta, is actually a short story version of the lyrics for the song A Little Piece of Heaven by Avenged Sevenfold, from their album Avenged Sevenfold, which you can check out on YouTube. Just YouTube, A Little Piece of Heaven as Avenged Sevenfold. It's actually not bad. I did watch the entire music video. It's essentially this creepypasta. Like, almost scene for scene. There's a few things that the guy added for flavor or to like expand it on, like in the story, because he's telling it from his perspective, kind of thing. But essentially, if you were to watch the music video, it's the creepypasta. So, this one will probably end up being a short one, or maybe a long one, depending on how much Dr. Leviathan wants to rant or tirade. Also, I have some things about it, so just throw you under the bus.
I like how I'm the bad guy. Oh, I'm the one who rants. Oh, I'm the one who makes these podcasts long. I'm the one who wastes everyone's valuable time by whining a little bit.
It's entertaining. It's all. Yeah. Anyway, I actually did look. I was looking through the comments as well. Like, there's not a whole lot to really, well, for me anyway, to say about the story itself. It was an okay, creepy story. However, finding out that it was basically the lyrics of a song kind of got me. The comments on for this one on the wiki page are for the most part positive. Like, everybody just seems happy that it's cool.
The commenters are fans of the band, fans of the song, and
they liked all the phrases that were put in there. And
they liked all of the Easter eggs and nods that were put in here. However, when I got to the comments, because I don't listen to the band, I've never heard this song before, so while I was reading this pasta, I was like, okay, there's something wrong here. I cannot quite put my finger on it. It seems a little shoehorny. Everything
seems to fit.
There's
certain perfect, right?
There's just certain phrases. Things are happening because that's how they're going to happen. By God, because I said that.
Yeah.
You know, things are going to happen because I say they're happening. Fine. There's very little. There's next to nothing that feels organic about this story. It all just seems like
all played out.
Here's an event. Okay. Here's an event. Here's an event. Here's an event. Fine. Whatever. Okay. But I don't know why it's bugging me so much. And then I finished the story, and as per my usual, I read the first few comments, and then it hit me. Oh. This is okay. I'm annoyed as hell now. Because they took the song and they literally turned it into a story, as opposed to what they should have done was taking the song, being inspired by it, and writing a story inspired by the song, as opposed to taking the song, because music typically just uses a lot of metaphor. Mm-hmm. This story takes those metaphors and uses them literally.
Yeah.
Which is where you come upon the whole these things are happening because I said they're happening. You know, it doesn't really make sense, but you're doing it anyway? Alright, good for you.
Yeah.
That, because I was like, oh, I could not put my finger on what was wrong. But as soon as I was like, oh, okay, I see. And, yeah, it was just, it made me realize, well, it didn't make me realize, because like I said, I already knew something was wrong, and I already knew, you know, what was wrong. But once I knew why, I was just so done with this. I wanted nothing more to do with this story.
And then I said, "Yeah, we're gonna review this one."
Well, I didn't,
or not review it, but discuss it.
Yeah, I
show's not really about reviewing so much as just talking about the stuff we do.
I didn't want to do this discussion.
Yeah,
but you did, and I don't get me wrong, I was not forced to do this against my will, people. Cultist isn't that sadistic. But, yeah, I just, because I didn't say I don't want to do it. But I knew that, you know, I was basically gonna pick on something that people seem to genuinely feel positively about.
Well, the thing about this one is that it's like, and even some of the commenters down the line of it did even it's like, well, it's not really an original creepypasta. I don't know why it's really still up here, because it's. I mean, it is kind of a creepypasta, but it's also more of a fan fiction, or an or kind of just like a retelling of a song. So, yeah,
it's masturbation. Like the ideas here could have made a decent story if, like I say, they had have taken the inspiration that they had from the song and turned it into a unique story. Mm-hmm. And, you know, throw a couple of little nods, but not shoehorning things just for the sake of having them in because they're in the song.
Yeah.
It's just the way it was executed, the way it was done, just it smacked of not having an original thought.
Yeah.
And
it kind of is bordering on plagiarism. A little bit. But not enough because it's like they're not actually... I mean, yeah. It's kind of plagiarism, kind of fan fiction at the same time. And it just, yeah.
It wasn't good. The writing wasn't, like... The actual mechanics of the writing were... I'm pretty sure they were satisfactory. Yeah. I read this one a few days ago.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the actual mechanics of the writing weren't bad, thank God.
Oh, yeah.
Because if that had been, it just would have been a complete write-off.
We would have chosen something else if that had been the case.
But it wasn't good. It didn't really feel like a story. It just felt like a series of events that happen in sequence, which sounds like a story.
Yeah.
But a story usually has those events make sense. Or at the very least, you can understand, oh yeah, I see how all that happened.
Yeah.
This one, I'm just like, okay, yeah. Out the window. Everything.
You're just like, I don't want to have anything to do with this story anymore.
This story doesn't want anything to do with me, probably because I'm not a big fan of the band, or I honestly don't think I've ever listened to one of their songs.
This is the first time I've ever listened to one of their songs, to be honest. I've seen them, like their covers and stuff like that in music stores and stuff, but I've never actually listened to them. The song itself is like hard rock with some opera kind of like stuff to it. But otherwise, yeah, it's okay, but it's not. I don't know, it's not my thing.
I don't know. I'm not a fan of the band. I'm not a fan of the song. I'm not a fan
It's
of
kind
this
of like,
story.
is it kind of like the Ben Drowned thing, where like again like
No, not even.
not even that,
Because
okay.
Ben Drowned, the part that annoyed me because I'd never played the game, added to the story at least. You know, it probably helped you with immersion.
Okay, yeah. So whereas Ben Drowned succeeded because it was in a story inspired by the game.
Well, no, it utilized the game
but,
to hype, or not to hype, to heighten the immersion.
yeah, but at the same time, it doesn't pull direct things. Like it does pull direct things from the game in terms of its content, but it is like all the video files and whatnot that are actually with that creepypasta. They're all custom.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing actually from like there's no actual scenes from the game save the assets. But otherwise, the story itself is actually an original thing from in this guy's mind. This one is essentially the guy liked the song and decided to make it a story, like turn it into a long like a short story.
Yeah, as opposed to leaving it as a song,
Yeah.
which
Actually, honestly, you'd get the same. You'd get the same premise.
Well, I get that. Like I got that from the story. I actually contemplated finding the song and listening to it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what? Why? It's just going to be a shorter, better version of this story. And that's the thing. They took the song, they put it in a medium that it is alien. You know, their songs, music, stories, they can work together to better both of them, but they're very different.
Yeah.
And, you know, you can have a song tell a story, but you shouldn't, just lift that story and move it over to a story.
Yeah.
Or out of this...
You stop going from the metaphors to the literals.
Exactly. And
which a lot of songs do, but those songs are a certain type of song, whereas most songs are supposed to be using metaphor and...
Exactly, and this song seems like it's totally using metaphor.
Yeah.
Like, all over the place, but nope, it's just shit. It could have, if they had have just taken the song, drawn inspiration from it, and made something unique that told the same story. It could have told the exact same story.
Yep.
But they could have just done it unique, and they could have done it as an original thing for this medium. It could have worked. They didn't. It didn't. It really just comes off as, oh, I love this band, I love this song, everyone else should too. And when people tell me to love something, I'm immediately just going to be like, okay, why should I? Convince me.
Yeah.
Oh, you sucked at convincing me.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the same way, technically, with that. As somebody tells me, oh, yeah, you should like this.
Well, I'm not confronting. I'm contrary.
Yeah.
When people say, oh, this is the best thing ever, I say, all right, here are things that are better than it.
Yeah, exactly.
Why? Because we're two different people. Not because you're wrong, necessarily. Like, again, this is... I hate this story. Doesn't mean I hate the song. I've never listened to it.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I hate the band. I've never listened to them.
Yep.
So that's just, and for the people who did like the story...
Fantastic.
According to the comments, y'all fucking love the song, too. No big surprise here.
Yeah, like the comments were all like I said, like the majority of them were positive for the fact that it was a story that was essentially the song in more of a literal sense. And there were comments, like I said, where people were straight up saying, it's like, this isn't very original. This is...
Yeah.
I don't know why this is on the wiki, or something, but anything like that. And I tend to agree with them, because when I was reading it, I had that kind of same nagging feeling. Yeah, there was the same nagging feeling. It's like, this sounds like even some of the, it was I think it was the lines, like they were just like,
all of the dialogue.
All the dialogue is straight from that song. Like,
and I don't even have to listen to the song to know that. I
know, yeah. Like I figured, I kind of had a hint of that when I first read it, and then when I actually listened to the song last night, I was like, yeah, that's the chorus. That's a major line in the song. Wow. But yeah, honestly, if you watch the music video, for the song, it's an animated version of this story. Like, there's a few slight modifications. Like, one modification is that he's the one that eats her heart and not her eating her heart from her fridge. That's it. That's the only difference, honestly.
It just, yeah. It was all...
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to open this discussion just because this is a thing that happens with creepypasta, where somebody will take a song or take some other part of a medium, like Ben Duran, but a little bit more to the extreme, or
a little more without an original thought.
Exactly, yeah, that's what I mean. Yes, and we'll create a fan fiction kind of, or like just outright plagiarize something. And just try to like pass it off as a cool creepy story.
Well, I don't think they tried to pass it off as something original.
No, yeah.
I'm assuming that the name of the song is A Little Piece of Heaven.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
So, like, I'm not gonna try and accuse them of doing anything they didn't try to do. I'm not like, this doesn't seem like plagiarism. This seems like an homage.
Yeah.
But
I mean, when
it's the worst kind of homage.
Yeah, when I say plagiarism, I just mean like it they took something and copied and pasted, which I guess is the kind of it is technically what we discuss on the show is copied and pasted stories, but at the same time
it's a different kind of method.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, like, at least the writing wasn't that bad. Like, it was for the most part probably the highlight of the story, because at least it wasn't horribly written like some of the other ones we've discussed. So
again, mechanically, it wasn't horribly written. It was horribly written.
It was horribly written content-wise, but mechanically it was fine.
Yeah, which I mean that's not really a saving grace.
No,
that's really just at least it technically could have been worse.
If you want to get into the specifics, it's a silver lining on a piece of shit.
Not even a silver lining. It's just, it's just a glitter. It's a less smelly lining on a piece of shit.
They put some glitter on a turd. Yeah, and no offense to the person who wrote this. I mean, you probably wrote this for...
They wrote it because they love the song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just picking at it because we chose it for this entry, and I saw it, and it's just something that I've seen all the time.
This smacks of a high school student's submission for a short story portion of English class.
Yeah.
That's what this really feels like. And if that's what you did, fine. You just should have left it at, whatever grade you got and not posted it onto the internet. Because it never needed to come here because the song exists.
Yeah.
And,
it does the same job. Telling the story, like, through metaphor.
I feel fairly confident that I'm familiar with the story that I'm familiar with the song because I've read this story.
Yeah, pretty much.
And
from somebody who's seen, who listened to it, yeah, you're definitely right about that. So, yeah, I wouldn't recommend this one.
No, I would probably, I'd recommend listening to the song.
Honestly, yeah. Because the song is, like the music video and whatnot is all themed horror. So if you want a creepy little music video, check it out. I wouldn't recommend this for a read for creepypasta, though. No. Unless you're a fan of Avenged Sevenfold. That's about it.
Even then, if you're a fan of, the band, listen to the damn song. You probably already have, so...
Yeah. Well, like I said, the comments, majority of them were like, "Oh yeah, like look, you got almost all the, you got all the good lines and stuff like that." It's like, actually, they may have gotten all the lines, but
yeah. So I would say just listen to the song.
Yeah,
because reading this would be a waste of your time. Try and find a more original and a better creepypasta if you're going to read one.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of good ones out there.
Blind Date.
I've been pleasantly surprised by several of them.
Yeah. And then horribly mortified by the others.
Well, that's the thing. There's so many levels of these that...
And this is just one level.
This is
a tier.
This reminds me that, some of them are just gonna be shit.
Yeah.
Nothing I can do about it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, this, it's a thing. It exists. And no, I don't recommend it either.
Yeah, this is actually a first for me. I couldn't really... I knew something was wrong when I started reading it. I liked the context of, when I actually finally listened to the song, it's okay, I get what they're trying to do. They shouldn't, but they did. Yeah, as somebody who loves creepypasta, I really can't recommend this as something you should if you're just getting into it. I feel sorry for Dr. Leviathan here, who did have to read this, because this isn't the highlight of creepypasta.
No, but I'm also sure that, like we've said, I'm sure this is a common thing.
Yeah.
So, as I read through my random creepypastas, I'm sure I'm going to find lots of these. However, if they're not earmarked for doing an episode on them, maybe I can skip the second half.
Yeah. We'll start going into the more we'll start picking a little bit more specifically than using the we'll use the random button a little bit more sparingly now. Now that because we almost got it, we hit gold once and then we hit shit.
Well,
so it is kind of a crapshoot because it is a random button.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of the random pasta button on the wiki. It does allow for kind of a Russian roulette kind of thing.
Yeah. I don't know.
Anything else?
No, I'm pretty good.
All right. I don't think I've really ranted as much as I normally do, which is probably good.
It was a short story, a shorter one even than I thought it was going to be.
Well, it's longer than its substance really requires.
Yeah. I could have the rundown I gave could have easily just been the rundown of the song of what happened in the song. So, but anyway, so you're complete then? Nothing else to add to this?
No. This really, it's just a thing that shouldn't have existed. And for anyone who, is thinking of doing something like this, don't. Stop yourself. Become inspired by your song.
Yes.
Become inspired by an episode of a TV show.
Yeah.
I mean, there are lots of things
that is actually another... Sorry, if I must... I just want to interrupt for just a second. That is actually another tier of creepypasta are called the Lost Episodes, where somebody will take a show and create a creepy story about a episode that doesn't exist, that has been twisted and...
But what they should do is have... When you do something that inspires you properly, people shouldn't even... A lot of people should be able to completely miss what inspired you. It just... There is no reason for me to have... there's no reason to blatantly say whatever, what inspired you, or to involve to write a lost episode. A lost episode doesn't need to happen. Why don't you just have your own thing with your own characters, with your own shtick,
rather than
it's playing off the popularity of something else, and
or if somebody likes something. It's very similar to what this story does, except there's a little bit more creativity, but at the same time, and it's something we are going to explore, Doctor. I'm sorry.
Oh, I know.
Because there are a number of lost episodes that are relatively good as stories, from what I've heard. So
I hear you, but they'd probably make better stories if they
were
didn't
original.
If they just didn't. Yeah, if they didn't mention anything else, or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems like, again, jerking off, something that's popular.
Okay. That's going to be something for another episode, probably. So we shouldn't probably go into that tirade just yet. Yeah, that's it for tonight, guys. If you liked what you heard, leave us a comment below. These are going on YouTube now, as of this episode. So leave a comment there. Leave it wherever else this is posted. Or send it to aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. Where you can also send us suggestions for other creepypasta, perhaps better than this one. And we'll discuss it on the show at some point, because this is the long haul. So until next time, I'm your host, Review Cultist.
And I'm Dr. Leviathan.
And this has been Al Dente Rigamortis. Sleep well.